Let's discuss the working with data mini-zine. If I remember correctly, it was Fabiola and Little Tyke Tariq that said you guys would like me to chat about the working with data booklet mini-zine. So I don't really know what you guys know or understand or don't understand about it. So what I'm going to do is not go through the entire booklet again, because that would be pointless. I think I'm going to try and use some sort of analogy or something, which hopefully gives you more insight as to what this little booklet is about. Probably best if I draw that again for you. So let's use an analogy of a recipe. So say you got some recipe, you're going to make some sort of dish. Okay. What sort of raw ingredients do you have to work with in your dish? Types of things. Let's say you have some solids. You have some, semi-solids. You got some liquids. What else do we have? Maybe something with skin on it. Like, let's say, what examples of these things? Like a carrot. A liquid could be, milk or water. A semi-solid could be something like butter. And a solid, what would make for an easy solid? Let's say bread. Okay, so you got certain actions that you can take as well when you are making food. So the first could be like slice. What else could we do? Spread. Something you can do to a semi-solid. A liquid is something you can pour. And something with skin you could peel. Okay. So you can see that based on what type of thing it is, right? That determines what action you can do to that thing. You can slice a solid, like bread as an example of a solid, but you can slice any solid. You can spread any semi-solid. You can pour any liquid, and you can peel anything with the skin. And you can't really do anything else. You can't, for example, pour a solid, and you can't slice a liquid. It's pointless. Okay, so coding works the same way. You got some raw ingredients that you want to work with, and then you got certain actions that you can take based on what type of things those are. So in coding in Python in particular, we have things that are number types, and then we got things that are sequence types. We also got things, what else do you guys know? Modules, functions. There's a whole bunch of other stuff as well, which we'll cover in future. So these are types of things. But in Python and coding, we don't talk about a number specifically. There's smaller categories that fall under number. So, for example, an int, that is a whole number. Okay, a float, that's a decimal number. And there are others too, which we're not going to cover now, but just for interest's sake, there's a complex number would be a third number type. Okay, so we don't speak about number, we talk about these things. And then sequence, we also don't speak about sequence specifically, but these are all sequence types. The ones that you guys might know would be strings, list, and range. We just covered in the latest for loop zine. And then I don't need to go into those now. Okay, so just to reiterate, we don't really speak about these things. These things, int, float, complex, they are all number types. But these things are the actual data types in Python. Okay, these are what are called data types. They are your raw ingredients that you have to work with when you're making your coding recipe. So now you got certain actions. I can't remember which color I used for the actions. Doesn't matter. Now you got certain actions that you can do in coding to these things. And in coding, in real life, when you're making a recipe, right, then how do you do something to something else? You just do it physically, right? But in coding, we're not working physically, we're using language. And so if you want to do something to something else, you need to use some sort of language, something, and that is symbols. So when you write a symbol, you're saying the symbol is called an operator, and that is to do something to something else. And there's many operators in Python. Some typical math ones that you guys know would be like plus and minus and divide and times. And so these things do something to your raw ingredients. Okay. And based on what type of raw ingredient you're working with, you can do certain things, just like in recipes, and other things you can't really do. So, for example, if you're talking about ints and floats and complex, they're number types, and usually all the number type ones, right? Those ones you could plus and minus and divide. And strings, well, if you're working with 2 strings, for example, then yes, you can actually add them. And so that would just take the first string and add the other second string on at the end. But you can't divide 2 strings. That doesn't really make sense. Like, what would you expect to happen if you divide 2 strings? And so in the same way as when you're making a recipe based on what type of thing it is, like it's a solid, therefore you can slice it, it works the same way in coding. You've got certain types of things and you've got certain actions that you can do to those things. Okay, so some of those things are perhaps unexpected, and you just have to think through them because the data types make quite a difference at times. So for example, if you have an int, it's a whole number, and you divide it by another int, it doesn't give you an int as an answer. So an example of that that's easy to understand would be like 10 is an int and 3 is an int. But what is the answer? Well, it's 3 1/3. So that is clearly a float. It's a decimal number. And so that is just something to be aware of, because if you are working with data types and you don't pay attention to the thing, at times it can be a problem. You guys I don't think you need to worry about it too much yet, but it's just important to be aware of that.